So, In a Violent Nature is a new slasher written and directed by Chris Nash, and here's essentially the premise, or the pitch if you will, for this movie. Imagine Friday the 13th, but instead of that film being told from the perspective of the campers, switch the perspective so it tells a story from, well, Jason Voorhees. Before I continue on with today's video, welcome to my channel, everybody. For those of you who are coming by to my channel for the very first time, be sure to hit the subscribe button so you do not miss a future video, whether it's a future review, reaction, or just a future video period, and join me on my journey to 10K subscribers and beyond. Believe me, you're not going to want to miss what I have in store because I have a lot of cool shit coming your way. And for those of you who are coming back to my channel, welcome back. I am so happy to see your faces once again. And also really quick, start a conversation below. Have you heard of this movie In a Violent Nature? Are you looking forward to this movie? Let me know below. Alright guys, so let's get into In a Violent Nature.
Excellent!
I remember when my girlfriend and I went to go see Late Night with the Devil, we saw the trailer to this movie, and just the premise and the concept of this movie looked really, really interesting. I mean, come on guys. Friday the 13th, told from the perspective of Jason Voorhees. I mean, that sounds like a really cool and a very refreshing concept on the slasher genre. My hype and my anticipation built and built and built for this movie. It became one of my most anticipated movies of not only the summer, but the entire year. So as y'all can imagine, I was very, very excited to watch this movie. And here's what I can say that I liked about this movie. This is a movie that for the majority of the time are just long, static, long shot takes of following a serial killer or following a killer going through a forest, and there is a lot, and I mean a lot of those shots. The continuous long shot takes I thought were very, very well done, and if you love those takes like myself, guys, even though I do have more to say about this later on. And this is a movie that's actually shot in a 4:3 aspect ratio, so it makes you really feel like you're watching a slasher film from the 80s, which I really do have to give huge praise to about this movie. Seeing the continuous long shot takes, I thought it added a nice immersive quality to this movie at first. I believe they shot this film with only natural lighting, no artificial lighting, minus lights that were available to them, like lights that you actually see in the shot. And I really, really appreciated that this is a movie that only used light sources that were either available to them or just using, essentially the sun and or moon to light the darn movie. I thought this movie had a really cool, unique, and interesting take on the genre, and there is no denying that what this film is attempting to do is really, really cool. You guys keep hearing about this, and I might as well echo this. The kills in this movie, some of them are really gnarly. In particular, there is a kill that involves someone doing yoga. And let me tell you guys right now, if Ed Boon is looking for new fatalities for a brand new Mortal Kombat game, have him mocap this kill as a fatality, and you will see one of possibly one of the gnarliest kills you'll ever see. There's a couple of bits where the gore looked really, really good.
Well, that's just fucking great!
I feel like that with what I'm about to say, I'm gonna get attacked by film Twitter people, and I'm gonna be attacked by a lot of people, because here's the thing. Once I saw the 91% Rotten Tomatoes, I got insanely excited. I was like, holy crap, this could be one of the best films or one of the best horror films of the year. Yeah, about that. I found In a Violent Year to be a big disappointment. One of my biggest criticisms within A Violent Year is how this movie is presented altogether. Is this a movie that has moving images that connect shots to other shots, and is it a movie that has a beginning, a middle, and an end? Absolutely yes. Watching this movie, it never felt like a movie. There are 3 ways that I can describe In a Violent Nature. One of those things is that I felt like I was watching a proof of concept for a brand new slasher film. Not a film, but a proof of concept. What this thing felt like, guys, was an experiment conducted by Chris Nash into how a film can be told in the perspective of a serial killer. Imagine like you're watching someone playing the Friday the 13th game, and the entire time, or excuse me, for about a good chunk, like more than half, at least 75% of that game, you're watching the person playing that game just taking their sweet ass precious time going to the forest rather than, I don't know, getting to the meat and potatoes of that game. We're just watching a person, no joke, just taking the scenic route. Now, sure, and don't get me wrong, I say this to you guys, the scenic route looks pretty, but looking pretty with those shots is only gonna get you so far. A lot of this film, and I'm not even kidding when I say this to you guys, I wish I was being exaggerated. The majority of this movie is watching a guy walking through the woods. And then here and there, he does his mayhem. Some of the mayhem is really fun to watch. Let's go into the other mayhem. There is a particular kill in this movie that was so not only dragged out, but they wasted the potential of the execution of this one kill. And that, guys, brings me to one of my biggest issues with End of Violent Nature. The pacing of this movie. End of Violent Nature runs at just over 90 minutes, about 93 minutes long, and good God, this movie feels like, it felt like it was like a 3-hour movie. For those of you who know me personally, I love long continuous shots. I love that kind of cinematography. But in the case of this movie, it just felt like watching the scenic route just because we were watching the scenic route of watching this person just walking and walking and walking. When it came down to the nighttime cinematography, there were times during this thing that I could not see what the hell was going on. I remember that last year in my review of Evil Dead Rise, there was a comment that said, why is there a need for character development on horror film-driven slasher films? This particular experiment is the exact reason as to why character development is needed. If you don't have characters to care about, or even mythology for a killer for that matter, what's the point of even being invested in the story that this movie is trying to tell? And End of Violent Nature not only doesn't have character development for the characters that this killer is trying to go after, but there's little to no mythology for that killer. I just realized that as I keep talking about the things that I disliked, it's really coming off like I heavily dislike this movie. And just what you guys know, I don't dislike this movie. I found this movie just to be okay, but the fact that this movie disappointed me so greatly is the reason why I'm being as harsh on this movie. This movie felt like it ended 3 different ways. And it kept going and going and going. And when it finally ended, I just left going like, well then. And here we go. So overall, End of Violent Nature for me was unfortunately one of the biggest disappointments of 2024. It is a film that I really, really wish I was praising, but I just do not get the praise that's behind this movie. All in all, I'm gonna give End of Violent Nature a 2 out of 5. I wish I was praised this movie, but I find this movie to be overrated. Oh god, here comes the comments now. I can already see it. I hope you enjoyed my review of End of Violent Nature. If so, please hit the like button, or if you disliked the video, hit the dislike button. If you guys want to see my previous 2 reviews, please click it right there or right there. And of course, until my next review video goes live, I'll see you all next time.